Hello and welcome to News Now. The much-anticipated National Executive Committee meeting of Nigeria's ruling All Progressives Congress took place today in Abuja, with President Muhammadu Buhari making a passionate plea to members to settle their differences and work together to deliver on the party's electoral promises. Some top leaders of the party were noticeably absent at the meeting, among them former Lagos State Governor Bola Tinubu and the party's immediate past national chairman, Bisi Akande. Political analysts say the absence of these leaders could be a sign that the party may still be far away from resolving the crisis rocking it. Nonetheless, President Buhari charged members to put whatever interest they have in their pockets and accept the supremacy of the party.
The elections have come and gone. The APC has won the battle and lost the war. This is the paradox of democracy, and we shall see how we can manage it. How do we manage it? The way going forward. I have already appealed to, through the chairman, through the leadership of the party, through Your Excellency the governors, through our senators and the House of Representatives, that the APC must not disappoint its constituency, that's the nation state. Let us not throw this success to the wind. Let us, as members of APC, no matter our personal differences, get together and meet the mandate given to us by this country. This is my personal appeal, and in the name of God, whatever your personal interest is and ambition, please keep it close to your heart and in your pocket. Let the APC work, and let the system work, and let us have a government that will earn the respect of our constituencies.
Now, shortly after that meeting, journalists swapped on National Chairman John Odije Oyegun and Senate President Bukola Saraki to find out if the crisis rocking the party was over. Here's what both men said.
It has been underlined, it has been underscored, and has been emphasized by all levels of the leadership. Mr. President, members of the National Assembly, our governors, that has today been thoroughly underscored. The party is...
So are you saying that the crisis in the leadership of the National Assembly has been put to rest
This is the beginning of the end of that crisis. We are still going to sit down and dot the I's and cross the T's.
The president gave a very uniting speech that has motivated the party again once more. So the party is in high spirit. But of importance is that the entire NEC passed a vote of confidence on the leadership of this party, on the Mr. President, and on the chairman of the party and the members of the NEC. And that is something that we're going home with, and we're happy that our party is coming back again strong. And we're sure Nigerians, this party will not fail.
As the chairman said, it's just for us to dot the I's and cross the T's. I think we're on that course now, and I'm feel very pleased that we'll put behind us very, very soon. But you can see the smiles from everybody in the party. It was a good meeting.
Now let's find out what other members of the party who attended the meeting had to say.
Excellent meeting, and as you heard, the party is coming back very strong and united.
Okay, what is your advice for the party?
For them to continue doing the good work they are doing. You see, the patience of the national chairman, the resilience of the Mr. President on issues has helped us to come to the point we are today.
And I think it's a very good moment. Also gives us encouragement, and also will give our all party support and encouragement. and we're able to discuss and close ranks, irrespective of what people are saying, that the issue in the National Assembly will not be resolved. Thank God today's meeting, we woke up and we concluded that we will continue to work together as a party that will continue to rule this country for many years back.
The meeting was successful. It was cute. It was fun. Meeting of brothers and sisters. We had them. In fact, for today, we came out stronger than
the National Assembly issue, how was it addressed?
The governors are addressing it.
And you think the party will be better from today?
Yes. APC is a family. It's a family, and they've gone to resolve the family.
National Publicity Secretary of the All Progressives Congress, Lai Mohammed, addressed a press conference after the NEC meeting with journalists trying to find out if the party was close to resolving the crisis and reach an agreement on the divisive issue of the National Assembly leadership.
This government must deliver its campaign promises. And this government must bring about a change and of Nigeria. This, I think, in a nutshell. The NEC also provided a platform to resolve this issue. And part of the resolution is the meeting today of the governors, with the national, with the Senate President and the Speaker of the House of Representatives. But you know clearly, even Mr. President also said he believes in party supremacy. But we have a problem in our hands, and we must find the best way to resolve it. And one thing I can assure you that this House, APC, shall not fall.
Now, not long after the NEC meeting, the APC Governors Forum held a meeting with the warring factions of its lawmakers in the National Assembly. The meeting had in attendance both the Senate President and Speaker of the House of Representatives. The governors are trying to resolve the crisis precipitated by the leadership election in both the House of Representatives and the Senate, where its members have turned against themselves. This is what Governor Rochas Okorocha of Imo State, who is also the chairman of the APC Governors Forum, and the governor of Edo State, Adams Oshomole, had to say after that meeting.
Gentlemen of the press, I'm aware and we're aware that the nation has been waiting for the outcome of this our peace move, and I'm happy to announce to all of you that the peace at the National Assembly is at sight. And we have had discussions, and we have all agreed to accept peace. So you will not see any more disagreements as there have been in the past. Peace has returned to our party, and both the Senate President and the Speaker and the distinguished Senator Lawal and Honorable Femi Bajamila will work together for the unity of the National Assembly and for the progress of our party. By next week, we shall give you the details of the outcome of this peace arrangement. But so far, so good. To God be the glory. My people, my paper.
Does this mean that the party has accepted the leadership?
Yes, the party has accepted the leadership of the National Assembly, of the Senate President and the Speaker of the Federal House.
I think the key thing is getting the discussion going. When you have some little disagreement among friends, I mean, the only way to sort them out is to talk. And we've started the process, and the fact that the two sides are present shows that, you know, the foundation for peace is there. If people refuse to sit eye to eye, or they refuse to sit together, then you can't even discuss. Now, the fact that they all turn up and we met, we listened to all the sides, we have a couple of suggestions, and we've agreed to continue with the conversation. And we are meeting again tomorrow night here. So I believe we are making some progress. So it is not that everything is signed, sealed, and delivered. That is why Kurucha said we are continuing the process.
Away from politics now, 12 people have been killed after a young female suicide bomber suspected to be a Boko Haram insurgent blew herself up in a mosque in Malari village just outside Maiduguri, the Borno state capital in northeast Nigeria. Witnesses say the attack was carried out by a young girl aged around 15 who was seen around the mosque when worshippers were preparing for the afternoon prayers. Not knowing she was on a deadly mission, the suicide bomber was reportedly accosted when she was sighted idling around the mosque premises and told to leave. She was said to have pretended to leave only to rush back into the mosque when people had gathered for prayer and blew herself up. Earlier this week, Boko Haram insurgents gunned down over 150 persons in Kukawa, Borno State, where worshippers were praying to break their fast in what is considered the bloodiest attack since the month of Ramadan and Buhari's administration began. Now, meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has condemned the most recent attack of the Boko Haram sect, which claimed over 150 lives in Kukawa, Borno State. The president, in a statement by his senior special assistant on media and publicity, Garba Shehu, described the attack as most inhuman and barbaric. Part of the statement reads, quote, "The president believes that this last desperate acts of fleeing insurgents of terrorism underscore the urgent need to bring to early fruition the efforts of his government to form a more effective international coalition against insurgency and terrorism in Nigeria and neighboring countries," end of quote. The president urged Muslims to reject with one voice the sect's claim to be acting in the name of Islam. He also sympathized and condoled with the families of the victims. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has assured victims of Boko Haram attacks in Adamawa State of President Muhammadu Buhari's determination to rid the country of terrorists, urging them not to lose hope. The Vice President, who has been traveling to states in the Northeast in the last 2 days on the instruction of President Buhari, spoke when he visited the internally displaced persons IDP camps in NYC camp actually at the Federal Medical Center in Yola, the Adamawa State capital. He told the IDPs that the president is thinking about them and that the reason why he sent him to come and see them and take notes is to understand what is going on so he could report back to the president. The vice president assured that he actually assured the people that the government was doing all it could to end the insurgency and bring lasting peace to the northeast of Nigeria. We'll take a short break now. When we come back, more stories coming your way. Continue to stay tuned to TV360. Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on TV360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions. Welcome back. It's not been the best of times for Africa's largest economy, Nigeria. With oil prices actually not picking up, the country's economy is virtually struggling. One sector that has been badly hit is the country's financial market. It's been a topsy-turvy situation for the oil share index of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. The market hit an unprecedented high in the immediate aftermath of the successful general elections early this year, with market capitalization reaching 8.42%, while the oil share index similarly rose by 2,635 basis points, or 8.30%, the most among 93 global indices at the time. But all of that has now evaporated. Director General of the Exchange, Oscar Onyema, has been explaining what went wrong.
The oil share index, as you know, is a reflection on the companies that are listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. And these companies operate in an environment, in an economy, The Nigerian economy, as you know, has been struggling with the reduction in crude oil prices and the attendant impact on foreign exchange. So because of the foreign exchange pressures, we've seen a lot of withdrawals from the international investors. As you know, our market typically is driven by foreign investors. About 60% of market activity is foreign. And that is the impact that we're seeing right now. We do believe that as the government begins to come up with policies and as the CBN gets a better handle on the foreign exchange situation, that our market will experience a rebound. With regards to what we're doing here today, the Nigerian Stock Exchange has been in the forefront of leadership around sustainability issues. As you're aware, we launched our corporate governance rating system last year. And we, as part of that effort, are going to be launching our premium board very soon, so that companies that hold themselves out as having very strong regulatory and corporate governance standards and that have a minimum of $1 billion in market capitalization can list on the premium board. Now what that does is it gives us a basis for creating a sustainability index which investors around the world can track and can use as a benchmark for making investments. We can also create products around that, exchange-traded funds, futures products, indices, and the like. So getting the awareness, getting people to understand what we're doing is very important. Creating the products to allow investors to vote with their dollars and their naira with regards to companies that are doing business in an ethical and in a sustainable manner is also very important. And the regulators have a duty to create the right framework and the right environment to sustain that.
Labor unions in Osun State have warned Governor Rauf Aragbeshala to put a stop to plans to cut workers' salaries by 50%. The Osun State government has been battling to pay its workers after federal allocations to the state dropped as a result of a fall in global oil prices, which has badly hit Nigeria's revenue. Jacob Adekomi, Osun State chairman of Nigeria Labour Congress, who led other labor leaders to address journalists on the issue, said on Friday that the decision would lead to an unimaginable chaos if it was not rescinded. He alleged that the state government has concluded plans to start paying workers the new rate starting from January 2015. The chairman also said pensioners were paid 50% of their pensions for November 2014, whereas the state government promised to pay them 1 month during the last meeting. The state government is yet to react to the warning. Let's turn to the foreign scene now. The U.S. government has reaffirmed its commitment to assist Nigeria in the fight against Boko Haram and to rescue the long-abducted Chibok girls. U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs Linda Thomas-Greenfield and the commander of U.S. Africa Command, General David Rodriguez, made this known at a joint telephone press conference. Thomas-Greenfield said President Muhammadu Buhari would be in Washington later this month for meetings with President Barack Obama to discuss how the U.S. can be of more assistance in the war against Boko Haram. She said part of that discussion will be how the U.S. can provide the equipment and support that Nigeria requires to effectively engage the insurgents. French President Francois Hollande has urged African leaders to respect their constitutional term limits, expressing concern that some African leaders were prepared to risk political instability in order to remain in power. Hollande made the statement while in Cotonou, the capital of Benin Republic, yesterday. He said 6 people were killed in violent clashes in Burundi, where opposition parties are fighting against the decision of President Pierre Nkurunziza to stand to seek a third term, which they say is unconstitutional. He also noted that Burkina Faso's long-time ruler, Blaise Compaoré, was toppled in a popular uprising last October after making a similar attempt to remain in power. He insisted that when constitutional rules are not respected, are not shared, then there are risks and there are consequences. Hollande said France was concerned about its security because what was happening in Africa has consequences in Europe. Well, that's it on News Now. Continue to stay tuned to TV360.